everybody! Good morning! We are G.A.N.E, your gaming, anime, news, entertainment. I'm Mayhem!
I'm Duke.
And I'm Highlander.
And today, we've got some news for you. First, we're gonna go for PlayStation. They had their State of Play recently. They had things like the Final Fantasy 16. It's releasing next year, summer 2023. The Final Fantasy 7 remaster, part 2. Like, that's not exactly, like, has an announcement just yet, but it's, like, they're like, we're working on it. Next, we got Horizon Call of the Mountain. That's like a VR story, like, set in Horizon Zero Dawn. Like, it's its own story set in the world, and that'll be very interesting. They recently also announced the Resident Evil 4 remake. That's coming out March 24th next year. Resident Evil Village, that's getting a VR update also. I don't know if anybody's going to finish the game when they get to the vampire ladies. Street Fighter 6, they said it is going to release in 2023. There's not an exact date yet, but they got 2023, so December. There's something called the Callisto Protocol. That was announced December of this year. And that's its own, new thing. It's not, tied to any franchise or anything like that. And then finally, Stray, the cat detective game. That's coming out July 19th, very soon.
In Nintendo news, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, the 9th mainline game in the franchise, set in the beautiful open-world region inspired by Spain, was recently announced. The news we received was what professors are in the game, several new Pokemon, and legendaries. This exciting step forward for the Pokemon Company is set to arrive on November 18th, 2022. In other news, Super Mario Strikers Battle League, the third installment of the Mario Striker series, and the first new entry in 15 years. The game is being praised for its hilariously over-the-top violence in what would otherwise be a very simple soccer game. The game is set to be released June 10th, 2022. And finally, set in the world of Fire Emblem Three Houses, Fire Emblem Warriors Three Hopes is a hack-and-slash action role-playing game in the vein of the Dynasty Warrior series. The player controls 3 returning characters from the previous installment and a new avatar by the name of Shez. The game has 3 storylines, much like its predecessor, and is set to release June 24th, 2022.
And now from Xbox we have Cuphead, Delicious Last Course DLC coming out. It's June 30th, so it is already out by the time you guys get this video. So as we all know, prepare to be rocking yourself, chewing your own hair in the corner, ripping your fingernails out, and stabbing yourself in the eyes from playing that game, because it is a beautiful game, but it is so hard. Nobody really likes to play it for more than 5 minutes. Also, games with gold, we have Avon Colony, Project High Rise, Super Meat Boy, and Raz Skulls. The only game I really know in that one is Super Meat Boy, which is a nice puzzling, side-scrolling puzzling game of trying to figure out how to get through, which can be quite difficult at times. You think you're doing well in the beginning with the simple puzzles they give you, and then they start hammering in the nails repeatedly. Second, the one we're really looking forward to is Sonic Origins. It's also done off the same for Sonic Mania's, the same programming that they have for that one. So it's going to be a beautiful side-scrolling game with all the originals of Sonic and Knuckles, Sonic 2, Sonic 1. So it is going to be... I am dying for that game to come out.
And now the PC games. We've got the free games for Epic Games right now. Right now, it's Wolfenstein, but by the time that this video comes up, it should be... And next we have to talk about is the Spider-Man remaster. That's coming to PC. And Miles Morales also. Those are coming to PC, and I actually am looking forward to Miles Morales, because I actually have not gone through that game at all yet. And because I don't have a PlayStation 5. There was... And then Quarry is coming out on June 10th, so it should be coming out by the time that this video comes out. Now we're going to go into a bit more broader gaming news. And now, just a touch of Diablo Immortal.
Ah! No!
And that's all that we're going to talk about it. Just a quick Destiny update. Season of Haunted still in full swing. We got Zavala going on right now. We're going on his nightmare and everything like that. I just wanted to do that quick little update. And there was some recent patch notes and all that kind of stuff. There was the TWAB. It was more of like the in-depth mainly for Warlock and Titan. They're more doing their stuff. Like for fine-tuning them, because Hunters are perfect right now. They're perfect.
We are unaware of any of this.
That was for me.
I stopped at the first Destiny game. I conquered the first Destiny game.
There's so much more now. Industry update that EA no longer has the licensing for FIFA.
Good.
That is going to be interesting because that is one of their biggest titles on EA.
That's the biggest one and has a bunch of microtransactions and all that kind of stuff. So I wonder what they're gonna do.
I honestly wonder what they're going to do too. I've never played. Me being never good at soccer, I would kick the ball, I'd try to kick it straight, it would go left or right or behind me somehow. So I was never good at soccer, so I never played FIFA, but I did admire it for its vast detail, how they really brought in the sport into it and everything else like that. So it's going to be interesting, but hopefully this might show that this might be the death of microtransactions.
Please.
I'm like either or worse yet, you earn it and still have to buy it.
Oh, those are the worst ones.
It's like either I earn it or I buy it.
Or
Pick it up. Pick one.
pick one. A quick thing that I just saw just this morning was that Minecraft just had another update. They added the Warden enemy. They added frogs, and they added the allies.
Oh my god, they had
Wow.
frogs.
They added frogs and mud.
What, you mean they added little blocks in Minecraft? Oh no, not again.
Hey, people appreciate.
I know, people love Minecraft.
Minecraft's a huge industry.
I mean, I totally respect Minecraft. It's
Kill
just with me, I can't look at that many blocked pixels for that long.
Really?
I'm like, it's like
All
I'm
right.
looking at it, I start going cross-eyed, going.
The Cyberpunk, they're having a quality of life update where you can buy more apartments. There's more guns being added, and a transmog system. That'll be interesting. So now you don't. So the armor that you're wearing isn't a disco purple jacket with a spaghetti strap tank top with a suit pants.
I don't want
flip-flops.
to see his character.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah,
look at his character.
Like anybody who plays Cyberpunk knows what I'm talking about. Whenever you have to wear like
Certain
better,
armor, yeah.
no, when you find better armor, it looks terrible.
It's horrendous.
It looks so bad, but you have to wear it or else you'll die.
I feel like I'm on acid wearing this thing. Well, okay, I don't want to get shot.
I don't want to. It's like, why are you wearing that outfit? It's like, it's not for fashion. It's so I can live. Now for the next part of G.A.N.E. Anime. I'm sorry, everybody.
We're sorry, everybody.
First bit of news, Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man is a 2022 anime featuring a man covered in chainsaws fighting demons. The plot is way more complicated than that, but that's literally all I can give you of the plot if you don't want to be spoiled. This anime is made by Mappa, supposed to be coming out this year, obviously, and it's either read it or watch it. It's the best I can say. It's one of those anime that you have to experience.
If you are curious about wondering how a guy can have a chainsaw for a face, pick it up. See if you like it.
if that catches your fancy.
Yes.
Next bit of news, the big one. Bleach 1,000 Year Blood War. It is the final arc of Bleach. Coming out October of 2022.
Okay.
Yes. That has been out for what? It's been out for almost.
It started animation in 2004.
Yes. So
It
almost
actually
20
went off-
years.
Almost 20 years.
It went off the air back in about 2012, and then it's now coming back for its final season. And this is the first of the big three to officially get their ending. Sorry, Naruto, you've been screwed over again by Boruto.
Dragon Ball Superhero. That's a new Dragon Ball movie that's coming out. It's in like the animation style.
Excuse you, it's Dragon Ball Superhero?
I'm not.
We're not doing that.
Okay, Dragon Ball Superhero. There you go. Is it like that's coming out very soon, and it's going for more of the. They're kind of transitioning to the 3D style, like with this movie, like in the same vein that like the games have recently been, like Fighters, and this one's about Kakarot, yeah, Kakarot also, and honestly, with what the movies have been doing, with retelling some stories and bringing in some new like elements, like some new storytelling and all that kind of stuff, I have been loving the Broly movie. I could watch that so many times. Like we have watched it so many times, and I can keep watching it.
I've watched it 13 different times.
I haven't watched it that much, but I have watched all the movies. With the return of Frieza. Gold Frieza. I even got to figure that. So I'm a big fan of Dragon Ball Z. So I'm looking forward to see this one super. Now I do take breaks, and I'll wait till some other seasons come around. Like, okay, I've watched all these seasons. Let me take a breather for a minute. Watch something else.
Now for a talk that none of you guys can put any input on. The manga rant. Here's my little time to talk about one of my favorite manga currently. One Punch Man. Yeah, for anybody who's seen the actual anime, it is an amazing anime. I would recommend the first season. Second season gets a little iffy, but it's still good. But a lot of people are very much anticipating the third season. I don't think there will be a third season because of the manga. The manga is such a work of art throughout it. This insane level of detail in every moment that it's the kind of thing of it's dangerous for most companies to handle the anime. In all honesty, people would get too upset if like they messed up anything. And it is now up to volume 23, and it is up to chapter 162. I would recommend it if you like One Punch Man.
TellTale Games.
Yes, TellTale Games is still working. Of course, I love the way they've set up their new, the way they run their company is that everybody works from satellite from home to prevent, people just, going through the crunch, because people just get frazzled, they quit, mounts mass depression. But they are working on greatly. They're working on Wolf Amongst Us 2, which I'm so looking forward to because that was the first TellTale Games I ever played because I read the comics. So I was like, oh, I gotta check this one out. And the way they have their cell shading and their detective stories and the way they work through all the TellTale games, the way they work through episodically, I just love it. Because, it's not, I'm like, you can play the game and then it'll go through scenes so you can, you don't have to sit there for hours. Like, if you want to go, you can go and make yourself a sandwich and, have one controller and do the movement. It's wonderful. So you can make a sandwich, take a break, go get some water, and you can come right back, and there it is.
It's like the interactive books.
Yes, interactive books. It's like interactive storytelling, or however you want to call it, but interactive books, it's just, and the decisions you make do have consequences, like, oh, you don't get this, or like with places, you don't get this trophy unless you do it this way, or it's actually very nice, and they don't make the trophy hunting too hard.
They'll remember that.
And you don't have to replay the game 50 million times to get the platinum trophy if you're on PlayStation, or get the full amount of credits like you do on Xbox. You just play the game, and you might have to change one little thing in one episode, like make one different decision, and you got it. It's great. So it's like, it's great for trophy hunters. Because it's like, okay, I can play this through twice and I'm good to go.
Don't gotta play it through 5 or 6 times.
That's where I have it's like, well, if you have to go through, you have to do PlayStation plus to get the platinum. I'm like, no. I was like, 'cause I love playing games, or I even like starting a game anew. But if I'm forced to play it over and over again, it's like, okay, I'm done now.
Yeah.
I've played very few TellTale games. Like, all my experience with TellTale games, like, whenever I play them, they're very fun. Like, that's always my, just some of the most fun bits of, like, oh, every decision matters. That's awesome. Like, that's something I very much like in a game. Meanwhile, most often, my biggest experience with TellTale games is I've seen somebody else play it. Or a clip was shared with me, and I was like, I have no idea what this is, but this looks amazing.
Well,
like, what was it,
really
Borderlands?
There's Borderlands. Definitely, guys, if you're not looking at TellTale games and you want some decent games, look at there's the Batman series 1 and 2. There's they got DLC for it for Shadow, where it's all cel shaded in black and white. They have, of course, Wolf Amongst Us. They have the Game of Thrones series. They only have one of those. They started the Walking Dead series, even though when they closed down before they were picked back up, another company picked it up and finished out the series. But they're all great. Now, I will say the longest one is The Walking Dead. It's got 4 to 5 seasons. I think it's 4 seasons.
Oh.
And you go through all those. Like I said, it's great stories. There's parts that make, hit you right in the emotion sack.
Oh, no.
So
I've actually seen a lot of the Walking Dead game.
Well, you you've definitely seen a lot of Walking Dead.
Well,
but you haven't lived it yet.
You haven't lived it now.
Yeah, no, that's the disconnect of basically you're not the one making the decisions. But I feel for some people who like just watching the games, like Let's Players and stuff, that is still a good franchise to have, like for just watching the game because of how much of a movie it is, basically.
Yeah.
I would definitely suggest that, watch the Batman animated series one, because the first season is fantastic, and It shows that, I don't want to spoil it for anybody if you haven't played it, but it's definitely an interesting story. It kind of puts a little twist here and there on the Wayne family and what's going on with this.
Really?
And what stories he's making. Do a little twist on the Joker in the second series. Like, is he good? Is he bad? So it's very...
The fact that they were even able to bring that up is...
Well, he does bad things, but you see more of why he does it, and if you make the right decisions, you could get him to stop being the Joker.
Interesting.
So it's like...
Interesting.
So
Ooh.
give it a good
That's
look.
unique, yeah.
Yeah. Let's
Alright.
go for a retro game now.
Yes, and our retro game of the day is one of the best vampire stories ever done on video games, and that is Legacy of Kain, Blood Omen, the one that started the Legacy of Kain series. Legacy of Kain, Blood Omen was one of the best. It was written originally by Dennis Dyack, and Ken Moore did all the cinematics. It was one of the first games where adults could play. That's what they wanted to start, and they actually loosely... Their inspiration was Clint Eastwood's Unforgiven. And they wanted to create it to where all the characters were not black and white. This one's all good, this one's all bad, gotta fight each other. No, there's good and bad throughout, and there's intrigue and mystery and working with the Knights of Seraphan and what Kain's story where he comes up where he's just a regular noble. Yeah, stuck up, but noble knight, you get your pickings. So, but then he's assassinated, and while because he wasn't a nice person, he was in hell. And he go, do you want your revenge? And that's how he becomes a vampire. And he's not the first vampire, but he comes through, and it takes place in the land of Nosgoth. And it's just, and how the pillars...
Gesundheit.
Yeah, it's a tight. Yes, and they're getting him to fix the pillars because each pillar has one... basically one of the ones you're going to have to take care of and remove, villain, whatever you want to call them, person. And they had to repair the pillars because after he got his revenge, he didn't realize that the vampire thing was kind of permanent.
An acceptable casualty.
Exactly. And the vampires and your abilities now are a lot different. Like, they can't go out in rain because rain kills vampires. Any type of water. It doesn't have to be... It's not holy water, just any type of water. So you have to hide when it rains. And... when they were developing it, and of course they sent it to published by Crystal Dynamics to publish it because it was being created by Silicon Knights. And then, of course, they were going, okay, we'll get it. And they were trying to make it, top down. It's top down, but they were trying to get away from the 2D. They wanted 3D. And then, of course, the PlayStation 1 came out at the E3, and they're like, great, let's use this. And PlayStation looked at it because PlayStation wanted to take more of an adult route with video games for adults. So, and it's got excellent game mechanics. Now, it does have some quirks. You got to remember, it came out being designed in 1995. It came out before Thanksgiving, and it placed 6. In its first year, it was number 6 of the top games sold that year. And it's just...
Which that's really good for like early era games.
Early era, because they popped out more games. Games came out a little bit more quicker back in those days because the development time wasn't as long, and they weren't as detailed. So, yeah, so it placed 6, and it held the 6th spot for the following year as well. And it's just the story behind it is one of the first games where it came out with a story behind it where you're interested to go forward. For a lot of people, and of course, it made it onto PC, and of course, started the whole series. Of course, Soul Reaver, then Soul Reaver 2, Blood Omen 2, then Legacy of Kain, Deceptions. Now, everybody's been trying to revisit. The reason I really wanted to bring this one up is because they have their studio, Crystal Dynamics, has sold and Activision and all that stuff. They sold all the rights to it to another company. So that one, they automatically in their first interview said, yeah, we're going to be picking up the Legacy of Kain series. Now, we're hoping it's going to be a remake, rebuild, that because, the story went through of what happened with Kain. I'm not going to spoil it because I want you guys to play it. If you got an emulator, if you've got one of those PlayStation retro systems, pick one of those up.
And we just have to say, we do not condone the actions of using emulation. Definitely do not use emulation at all. Especially if you already have the game.
Yes, if you have already a game, give the game some love. If you've got the game system, I'm a system kind of guy, so I don't even have emulators. The only way you should use that is if you can't find the game anywhere, so don't do it.
A question about it. I remember hearing about some kind of spiritual successor called for Legacy of Kain. I'm not sure if it came out or not. Dead House Sonata? Did that ever come out?
No,
No?
and not Dead House Sonata, and I think you're thinking about Black Sun, and it never came out. It was a spiritual successor. It was supposed to be like a sandbox type Euro vampire type battle type simulator, and it just didn't go because it didn't have the story. Because the ones who were creating the story and even it propelled it even more was the same lady that created the writings for Uncharted.
Hmm.
She went on to Uncharted after that, but
Ooh.
she wrote the script and screenplay for Soul Reaver, not Blood Omen. Blood Omen was done by, of course, Dennis Dyack and Ken McCullen, but they went from having literally a 40-person team to having a 600-person team.
That kind of is an increase.
Yeah, they had a major increase when they sent it over to Crystal Dynamics and Activision, and they were like, "We love this." So it really built it up. That's why you were supposed to only have like a little house as your tomb, but since as a lord, but they're like, "Oh well, we can't really make anything bigger." With the extra money, they turned it into Kain's mansion, which is very, very famous. I say look it up, watch it on YouTube, watch the playthroughs. You can see some images on here of how much I played into it. The only part that was a little thing to get used to in playing the game is that you have to be in direct line to hit somebody.
Oh.
If you're slightly off and they're attacking you, now they can't hit you. You're not getting hit, but you're trying to hit them and you're slightly off. That's horseman. No, you got to face them. Kind of, I think old original Zelda. Right in line.
Oh. Where it's like here's the player model, but here's the hitbox.
Pretty much, and you had to have it right in front. But they did, and the cool part about it is that they did not make him. They made him an anti-hero. He's still doing good things, but he's also very self-centered. And like you'll come across people chained on the wall saying, "Please help me," and you suck the blood out of them, and you actually see the blood coming out of them. You're like, and he looks at them as peasants because he was a noble, and he's like, you're meaningless at the times that they were meaningless.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So, but so you're not kind hearted, walk around with rainbows and heart shapes. You got a sword and you're killing it, and you eventually get to the Soul Reaver sword, which then starts the thing of Soul Reaver, which is the skull sword. It's being held by. Now I'm not gonna spoil it for you because I want you guys to play it of who the lead vampire is. The monks, the Knights of Seraphan, all of that, the pillars. It's all part of the story, and the story comes together so well. So I can't really, you please play it.
I guess this will be something to just look out for because from the sounds of it, I think we talked about almost two different projects. Because Dead House Sonata, the thing I mentioned, that I have heard before apparently is supposed to be a spiritual successor, like a more recent one. And all I know of it is the tagline of play as the dead to fight the living. Where you basically get to play as all these different kinds of undead races, classes, whatever.
Yes.
And get to fight the living.
You can say the same thing about the Vampire Masquerade.
Yeah.
Very similar, but I don't know how to explain it, but the Legacy of Kain story, it has more of a drive. See, now, like, Vampire Masquerade is a very good story. Not saying it isn't, because I've read the comic books of Vampire Masquerade. So they have a lot of canon, a lot of different clans and everything else like that. Right now, there aren't no clans of vampires with Blood Omen. That comes later, which will be in the next episode of Soul Reaver of what he did afterwards. And, that because, like he said, he's supposed to repair the pillars and stuff like that. So play the game, and just the story is fantastic. Then the first cinematics, because Soul Reaver, I didn't play Blood Omen at first. The first game I had was Soul Reaver, and it was on PlayStation. I got that one, and the cinematics on that, still to this day, are very good for their time. And even for Blood Omen, for their time, the cinematic scenes are very well done. I remember for their time, you're not looking at Horizon Zero Dawn here. We're looking at 1995. That's what they had.
You're looking at Final Fantasy VII, Aerith being stabbed. The cutscenes from that.
Very close to that. Yes, very close. Actually, they're a little bit more, I would say, human dimensional instead of in Final Fantasy where they look like little.
From what I've seen, it seems like it's far more like even better for its time.
It really was. It stands the test of time, especially the story. Like I said, the visuals when you're playing the game, sometimes you'll be like, my eyes are burning. Why am I looking at this? But the game is worth it. It's worth your time. It's worth your. The story is fantastic. If you get a chance, always play it on the system. If you have an original PlayStation and you have that game, play it.
And that's going to be all for us today. We're Green Villains, and we're out of here.
I'm Highliner 83. I'm out of here as well.
And remember, no gain, no game.